today is not about protest, but remembering those who lost their lives in the 2024 June 25th protest, just making sure that they remember them in a very special way, lighting candles and just walking along the Nairobi streets. But the police and security officers have mentioned that they will not condone with anyone that will be making their way to town to disrupt peace and cause mayhem across the city. But as you can see, we have been trying to access the city since morning, but very few vehicles, public service vehicles, were allowed in the city. A section of them were using long routes to make sure that they access the city, and they have actually used this opportunity to hike fares along these major roads, Mombasa Road and Waiyaki Way, along Thika Road, where residents pay about 100 shillings. Today they've been paying about 200 shillings or 150 shillings to make sure that they earn double of what they always earn. But they have access, not many of them, but very few vehicles have been accessing the city, and have just passed by the city, and very few people are in the city just to make sure that they go by their daily routine or normal routine. But I don't know whether they will be selling anything to anyone, because no people, Kenyans are not in the city, just very few of them, and so many businesses have been closed in the city, just making sure that they are safe and they will not be losing their properties if by any chance goons or protesters may decide otherwise. So even supermarkets have been closed, so many businesses have been shut to make sure that they are safe. So as you can see, at my background is that police officers are making sure that a very few motorists are getting access to the city. We'll be making our way through the Mombasa Road and to Kitengela to find out what's happening along Mombasa Road, and perhaps if the youth will be remembering those who lost their lives along this region. Just to bring to you to attention, Fred Indimuli, is that as they remember those who died, I remember in June 2024, the first person who lost his life was Rex Masai. I think he was shot dead on June 20th or so, June 21st. Before they marched to Parliament on June 25th. Rex Kanyike Masai, who was 29 years old, was shot and killed in Nairobi on June 20th, yes, becoming the first major casualties, and that is what prompted Gen Zs to get out of these streets to protest and demanded justice for Rex Masai. And Kennedy Onyango was the youngest victim, killed in Rongai on 21st of June 2024. So as they commemorate this, they are remembering those people who lost their lives in the line of duty to make sure that Kenyans get justice, and they were also making sure that Finance Bill of 2024 will not have been passed in Parliament as they were demanding. They also were demanding government to reduce opulence by a major section of leaders, whom you remember even Kipchumba Murkomen, by then the Interior CS, he was spotted wearing a watch worth thousands of Kenyan shillings. So a lot of Kenyans demanded that government officials reduce opulence in this country. But when they went to the streets, a section of them were killed. You remember Abdi Kadir, who was 24 years, was shot during the initial protest and died in the hospital in July. He was buried, I remember, I think he died in hospital on July 16th, and he was buried on July 17th, Abdi Kadir. You remember also there was Evans Kirat, who died after being struck by a tear gas canister fired by police officers when they were protesting here in town. There was also Ibrahim Kamau, who was 19 years old, who also had finished, I think he had finished high school, and he was shot in the neck near Parliament during the Gen Z protest on June 24th or June 25th or thereabout. Eric Shieni, a university student who lost his life near Parliament on June 25th. And Fred Ndimuli, Eric Shieni, when he was shot, I was right there, standing right about 10 meters from where he was shot. We were covering this protest, myself and Sheila Telang and my colleague, whereby we witnessed all these Gen Zs who were shot at Parliament when they were shot, and their friends, fellow protesters, trying to carry them to hospital, to take them to hospital, trying to urge police officers to help them take them to hospital. But a section of police officers will not have done that because they were on the other side. They will not have helped the protesters probably to take a section of these protesters to the hospital. There was also David Ishege, who was a computer science graduate from GOtv, who died near Parliament as well. There was also Basley Kamau, who was found at City Mortuary after going missing during the protest. There was also Denzel Omondi, who was found dead in Waterfield Quarry. You remember Denzel Omondi, who was found dead in a quarry. So all these Gen Zs, as they get out of these streets, they're making sure that they are remembering these fellow youths who died during the 2024 protest. But I don't know if they will make it to the city later on in the day. But police officers, a section of roads have been barricaded to make sure that no youth or no protesters are getting to the city. Back to you, Fred Ntimuli, as we make our way through Mombasa Road to Kitengela to find out where the Kitengela 3 were abducted from, and those who lost their lives in Kitengela, what happened, and how the Kitengela residents are taking these commemorations of 2024 protests. Back to your studio. My name is Mike Kagwongo.
Thank you so much, Mike Kagwongo, for that update from Mombasa Road, especially that Bunyala Road roundabout, from where final police roadblock into the CBD is blocking traffic from getting there. Meaning that anyone coming from the direction of Mombasa Road or even parts of Langata Road, this is where they're being diverted back to the direction of where they've been from. Very few being let through into the CBD. But we keep updating you on different areas. We have live pictures from Nakuru, live pictures from Naivasha, live pictures from areas like Mombasa as well, where more or less very little is happening in as far as the memorial, or you may call it remembrance, of victims of police brutality is concerned. So we'll be getting an update from these areas again. We're getting closer to 10 a.m., which is a time where organizers of the remembrance procession had indicated they would be converging at some point within the city and proceeding with their march towards Parliament, which has since been barricaded, but the plan still remains the same, that they'll be heading towards Parliament, where they will lay flowers in remembrance of the victims of police brutality. At this point, from the Bunyala roundabout, you can see not even riders on motorbikes are being allowed into the city center. Police this time round not just allowing anyone into the CBD, especially those on motorized transport, motorbikes as well as motor vehicles. I do not know if those on pedestrians on foot are being allowed past that point, because in the city there are some few people who are still able to access the area from the various sides of the city. I'm not certain which picture we're showing right now, but this is Naivasha, areas around Naivasha where more or less very little traffic is being experienced this morning. Willie Dennis brought us up to speed with what is happening there. And we continue with a conversation here in studio for now. And I'd want to engage Mike Duncan on this issue of politicians, because it is what we are talking about. Over 100 young people were injured. Many died. You were lucky to have survived. Yet 2 years later, you see that the beneficiaries are not the young people who are on the streets who are fighting for change. It is other people, mainly politicians. The same old names that you are complaining about are the same ones who benefited. How does that make you feel?
Okay, personally, that makes me